Okay, welcome to Planners on Purpose. I am delighted to have special guest here today, Sharee Cammon, and I wanted to share a little bit about her before we get started today with our conversation. Sharee's mission is really to help the Black community break free from debilitating chains of economic inequality and oppression. She's the owner of Creative Call Marketing and the creator of B.A.M Business Academy. Now, this academy is a community-based membership platform and with the built-in learning and mentorship platform that serves Black entrepreneurs. So I'm very excited to hear all about it. Welcome, Sharee, to Planners on Purpose.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here or here.
Well, it's great to be sharing the screen with you and having a conversation with you today. And I must just say right off the top, I really love what you do and your purpose behind it. I feel like the Black community needs so much right now, especially when it comes to economic inequality. But I wanted you to take us a little bit on the journey with how the B.A.M Business Academy or even Creative Call Marketing came to be. So really, what's the driving force behind you creating this academy? And just tell us a little bit about that journey.
Sure. Okay, so um, I'll just go ahead and start with Creative Call Marketing because that came first. That was created back in 2005. I've been an entrepreneur since 2004-ish, an accidental entrepreneur, and started Creative Call Marketing after I started having success with joining up. I don't want to say telemarketing, but it was where you could work from home, telecommute. There we go. So telecommuting services. And I had to do telecommuting services because I had a disabled son. And it was new. People weren't really doing telecommuting. And so it was harder for people who were homebound to really bring in a steady income. And so that's kind of where Creative Call Marketing was born. I was helping people with resumes, helping people with, starting to get themselves out there in a way that they hadn't been able to before. And so Creative Call was born. And then years passed. Okay, so B.A.M did not come until some years. I was really interested in helping Black-owned businesses just be supported and noticed for the creative and innovative geniuses that they are. And before B.A.M Business Academy came around, it was actually B.A.M Black Friday Market. And I started that in 2015 after going to a holiday market. I'm in Houston, Texas, and went to a holiday market and noticed that there was no Black-owned businesses there, but there were lots of Black families spending their money. And so none of that money was going into the Black community. And I was just like, whoa, and what really just kind of spurred me is I picked up an ornament and I was like, it was a really beautiful ornament. It had two little kids on there. They were white children. And I was like, well, how can I paint this so that I can make it reflect more of my family? And as I was thinking that, I just got really upset because I was like, why do I have to paint this instead of just picking up something that's already made and that reflects my family? So
Struggle in a lot of
it
places.
it really is. Now there's lots of, like I've seen, lots of places are starting to be more, they're starting to represent, Black people a lot better. But I mean, it still can be hard to find something and that's of good quality. Like it seems like the things that represent Black people are still, very minuscule compared to all that you can find for white people. So B.A.M Black Friday Market was born. And as I was trying to put that market together, I realized that a lot of businesses or Black-owned businesses that were calling themselves businesses weren't really businesses. They were hobbies. And so that's where B.A.M Business Academy came around, because I was like, well, we need a little bit more teaching. We need a little bit, more ready, get a little bit more ready before they can, call themselves a business, because it's different.
Yeah, I mean,
Being
there is a lot to learn in business, right? So providing
right,
that mentorship probably that
right.
is needed.
Right. And that's hard to seek out sometimes too. In the spaces that I frequent on social media and just on the interwebs. seeing Black mentors that are easily accessible that come out and offer to, it seems like it's like you have to be elite to be able to touch some of these Black mentors. Whereas when you see on, and I don't really know a tactful way to say it, because I don't want to anger people, but it just seems like it's harder for you to find a Black mentor when it comes to business than it is for you to find a white mentor, because it seems like the resources, the information is not shared as freely as it is between white businesses. So
Yeah.
I think that's something that really needs to change.
So tell me a little bit about the B.A.M market. So the B.A.M market is really what came out of that ornament, right? Eventually.
Yes.
What took, you said it was years later. So was there hesitancy there in the middle of having this market? What happened from when you had, the creative call marketing to B.A.M market? What happened in between?
One word, crap happened.
Oh, no. What kind
Crap
of
happened.
Okay, yeah, and sometimes we go through that, right? So
Right. I mean, when I first started, I mean, for sure, I'm not an event planner. Or I guess I am. I can't say that I'm not an event planner because I'm
sometimes
planning an event. So, but I'm not, I'm not trained in event planning. And so when I first started out, it really was, at first it was hesitancy. It was just like, okay, well, who am I to be doing this? And who's going to want to go and shop, a market with that's, only Black owned businesses. And sadly, I did come across a lot of that from Black and white folks about, this pushback about, why are you only, highlighting Black owned businesses? So at first it was hesitancy, but I pushed on. But the year that I was supposed to launch it, so the first year I was coming back from losing a child, had a stillborn baby.
Oh, wow.
And so, and that's why I was at the Nutcracker market, because I had friends that were trying to cheer me up and trying to, just get me back to being Sharee again. And so that's why I was there. And so that was in the midst of planning that market, still dealing with that loss. But at that same time, here comes along Hurricane Harvey and just pretty much demolishes, Houston, and the small businesses were trying to recover and reel back from that. It was a lot of damage toward Black businesses, especially in the areas that flooded heavily. So it was a face-to-face event, and so that was canceled. And I was gonna, well, that's fine. Well, when you need to cancel, you can just restart again. So here comes along 2018. 2018 knocks us for a loop. My husband and I find out that our 15-year-old has leukemia, and it has progressed so much that the year. It was November of 2018. We find out that he has leukemia. Right. So there's no market. We're trying to deal with cancer, trying to deal with all this kind of stuff, and January of 2019, he passes away. So it was that quick. We weren't, it was just like we were just blindsided by it. And
so sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I have to say, like, losing a infant, stillborn, completely different experience than losing a 15-year-old. And that just completely, my world stopped. It just stopped. And so I didn't have processes in place to, help me automate my business. And if I did, I'm not even sure like how much I would want to talk about business. I know a lot of people bury themselves, in work to stave off, grief. But it was very heavy. And so again, no market, 2019. So here we are in 2020. And I'm like, yes, we're gonna try it this year. This year is gonna be it. And of course, we have COVID going on. We have a whole bunch of other slew of things. 2020 has not been the year for a lot of people, but perseverance and I really do have a passion for
Mhm.
just helping Black-owned businesses. So I think it's really important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so sorry. I can't even imagine what it would be like to lose two children, have to deal with Harvey, and I'm pretty sure that had a dramatic effect on just your relationships and things like that at the time. So I can't even imagine that. But really, really sorry. And it's good though to see that the BAM market is up and running for 2020. Um, so tell us about what it is. What is it? What's that offering that you have to the community, and how receptive have people been to it so far?
So it's going to be virtual this year. It's on a dedicated platform for trade shows and expos. People have been receptive. Again, I'm coming off of a year where I just kind of grinded to a halt.
Hmm.
So marketing game could be better for me. But the outreach that I have done
Hmm.
and the reception of it is been different. And I
Hmm.
think I think it's been different because people are aware or have we the treatment of Black people, period, is just come to a forefront, right? So there's been, it hasn't been as much pushback as it was, say, in 2015, 16, when I was trying to navigate the waters, really naive about it. And, I was like, oh, let me go to this Facebook group for vendors, and see if I can, market my event.
Hmm.
And I mean, the pushback in 2015, 16 was, I wasn't prepared for it because it was from whites and Blacks. And there was this one lady, it's still just, I never will forget. I
Hmm.
posted about it, it was a Black lady, and she was like, as soon as I saw it was only for Black-owned businesses, I was out of that. I was out of it.
Oh,
Didn't
did
want
she
anything to do with the site. And I was just like, oh, okay. And so, just the reception of this event has been a lot different. It's been better received. And I always like to say, you never question why there are, different cancer centers, right? You never question why there may be, there's a children's hospital and then there's an adult hospital. There's different needs, and Black-owned businesses have um, different needs right now than other types of business, other different run businesses right
right?
now. So it's really important that we touch on those. And again, representation matters. It really does. It really does. And think about, Victor Glover going up into space and, you
Exactly.
know, right. Last night, my son was like, Mommy, he was like, Mr. Glover's in space right now. Wow. And just his awe at that. And it just gives me chills. I love it. But
Yeah, I mean, my
representation
kids watched
matters.
that too, and definitely there was just a sense. It's an uplifting sense. I don't think that it excludes anyone, around them, of other communities and of other colors and races and ethnicities. But there is
Right.
a certain uplift, right, that you receive in your spirit for knowing that you're represented in some way in
Right.
space. So it's
Right.
cool. Very cool. Well, so I wanted to ask, and thank you so much for bringing up that point about uh, really leading with what your response is. There's a certain
Hmm.
segment of people that are looking for, that have a certain need. And
Right.
sometimes when you're doing that, you do need to call out what your target audience is. And I'm pretty sure that doesn't mean that it's like totally, saying these other people and communities can't come to this event, but
Right.
more
Right.
saying, here's what my target audience is,
Right.
here's who my ideal customer is,
Right.
and yeah, and making sure that they know that that's something that offering.
Right. I mean, I don't say like, oh no, I don't work with you because you're not a Black-owned business. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what is that?
Right.
No, but just no.
Mhm.
But my target audience is Black-owned businesses
Mhm.
because the material that I'm creating, the events that I'm putting on is meant to highlight them. And in a world, not just a nation, but in a world where, you know, I mean, I don't curse very much, but I mean, our president, called, one of the countries that a lot of our,
Oh,
Black
yes.
people are from, whole countries. And so, I mean, you just think about, we're not elevated and we're not loved.
Mhm.
Um, and celebrated in the way that we should be. And so there needs to be spaces for that,
Yeah.
and spaces without being, um,
Like
I don't,
exclusive to other communities.
right,
Right. Yeah.
right. Or just, being able to celebrate ourselves without feeling bad for it, right? Without feeling like this is some political movement or some kind of other movement. No, we need to celebrate ourselves because we are rarely celebrated. We need to uplift one another because we're rarely uplifted in the ways that we need to be.
I mean, I appreciate your heart in sharing with that. It's such, sometimes it can be a hard subject to broach, but
It
really
really
feel
is.
like the event community needs to hear it. I know there's conversations happening and, with what has been happening in our world since, right, March, and since forever, right? Hasn't been just since March. It's good that to see some of those conversations
Right.
happening at the top level to be able to change it. So it's just making sure that that it does. But I just love your heart and your purpose with making sure that the community, the Black community, is uplifted, and you doing your part to be able to just lift them up, make them better leaders and business owners and entrepreneurs. So kudos to you with that.
I will thank you.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about the tools because I've heard that you have tons of tools that you always have in your little toolkit. You love to just collect all the fun things when it comes
I
to
do.
events. So what do you think your top two go-to tools are to help you to stay productive and organized when you're running your business?
Okay. So
She's like,
normally, yeah, right. Seriously. Okay. So again, my hiatus was last year and I'm just now coming on, but I have been on a search for a lot of SaaS tools that are Black created.
okay.
And it's hard to find them because they don't normally advertise that, hey, this is Black owned
Mhm.
or Black created. So you don't really know. Um, and so, I mean, I've been turned on to Calendly. I've been using that. I know that's Black owned and Black created, and is a really great tool.
Yeah.
But a lot of the tools that I have that I use
Hmm.
are not yet. Um, Now, when we talk about beauty products, talk about that, or you talk about clothes, talk about that. But I have been really on, and I'm sure people are gonna be like, I know about this Black owned SaaS company and this one and that one. Listen, put them in the comments and I will go and check each one of them out, right? Because I am interested. I truly am interested in them. I know about another SaaS company. I'm not going to name the name yet because I think they're still trying to build out some things
Okay.
and still in beta testing. But I've been stalking them and looking at them.
Okay.
But I have not found a productivity tool that um, I use regularly from Black owned.
Mhm.
Um, Not yet. It's
Yeah.
coming though. I know they're coming, and I know there's lots of things I've seen,
Mhm.
lots of technology and lots of incubators and stuff like that, that are, you know, for and by Black people,
Mhm.
but not necessarily all the tools.
Yeah.
There's a tool that I know that was co-created by a Black person,
Mhm.
Dino. It was like an email script writer. I can't remember
That
what
sounds
it's all called. Yeah, and I know that's Black owned, but I don't use it regularly. Um, but yeah, sorry I rambled on that one.
no, no,
I
good.
am looking, people. I am looking. Look, as soon as
Well,
we get off
it's
this this interview, I'll be like, I need to look for some more sass.
it's awesome that you're very intentional about that too, right?
Yeah.
So it's really good. So if there's anyone out there that has a productivity tool,
Please drop.
please,
Listen, I will go and look at your product. I sure will. Your service. Let me know. I'm on the hunt for them. It's just hard. That's another thing that we should talk about too at some point. But when you're Black owned and you don't say it. There's a reason behind that. I call it the Black lack effect
It's just
because
hard.
yeah, when you come off as Black owned, then people automatically slap on that
Mhm,
you have low customer service or poor customer service or low quality products and services.
mhm,
Um, so there's a lot of people who masquerade as not being Black owned,
mhm.
um, because they want to avoid that Black lack effect. And then there's some people, white companies, who will masquerade as Black owned businesses. I've seen
Yeah,
that
the opposite.
in order, yes, in order to gain the opposite, because they know that we are heavy consumers. It's something that it's going to take a while to mend and recover
Yeah,
from.
absolutely. So, what are you most proud of? I mean, you've done a lot. You've been through a lot of hardships, but you've also been able to create this wonderful business, right?
Mhm.
What are you most proud of it all?
It has nothing to do with business and everything to do with family.
Oh,
Um, I
mhm,
am, and I don't know if it's just, I don't think it's proud. I think it's just grateful.
mm,
Grateful that, grateful that I am a mother
mhm.
to, or have been a mother to five beautiful children.
Oh,
Um, yeah, four boys. I had four boys and one daughter.
wow.
And then two of them are again waiting for me in heaven. So I'm
Mm,
I'm very grateful for that. And I'm grateful that I'm still here, because losing children is the hardest thing. There's lots of people who have not been able to come back from that.
mhm,
Again, I, yeah, I don't usually use the word. I don't use the word proud. Just grateful,
mhm,
um, that I can continue on,
mhm,
and grateful that I have been through things that have been sucky, and been through homelessness and
mhm,
domestic, violence, and of course, death of children.
mhm.
Um, that I have knowledge to share with people who, you know, I can help people through it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I know that there's somebody that is inspired by your story and inspired by everything that you've gone through and still able to be an entrepreneur and find the purpose every single day with wanting to make the world a better place by what you do. So, gosh, just appreciate that. Thanks for sharing that. Uh,
Thank you.
so I always ask a few questions, and one of them is about your bookshelf. Um, because I'm a big reader. I run a book club every month. And I just like to hear about what's a book that has impacted you in your life that you would be open to sharing with the community here.
Honestly, I mean, there are really some really good, no, really phenomenal business books,
Mm,
that I enjoy. Like I can't remember. Should can never say it. Cisnero. I can never say it.
is that
But
the
she's
sister?
huh?
Oh,
You're a badass.
oh yes, yes, Jan's sister.
That
Yeah.
yes, that book I love. Okay. So here there's my business book, the mindset book that I'm gonna drop on you. Okay.
Okay.
But the other book that I'm gonna drop on you is not business. But it helped me a lot with just, getting back to normal, going to go take a shower again, fighting depression from all that mess that went down. But it's called Seeing the Unseen, and it's by Joe Beam. It is a great
That
book, and
sounds
it's
good. I love books like
mm,
that.
and so I'm not trying to get all that, but that book for me, I read it over and over again. It just shares a lot of insight about spiritual battle, and so that's
Mhm.
helped me a lot on my journey.
Mhm.
But I do love You're a Badass. I love that book.
Okay, that's been on my list for a while, Jan's book, so I'll have to
Yes,
read that. But I'm very into spiritual philosophy too, so I'll definitely
yes.
checking out both of those. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
Um, so we're just got off of talking about this book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Okay.
And she also wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And she
Oh,
talked about,
yes. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
usually people don't know her by her name, just about
Mhm.
Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah.
But she was talking in this book about living creatively through fear. So
Oh, wait,
just
did you say through fear?
through
You said
fear.
okay.
Fear. So just wanting to know, have you ever been in a situation, I know you've been through a lot, but where fear really took over your life, and how you were able to overcome it?
uh, so much.
Yeah.
I'm trying to let me pick one here. Let me pick one. I think for me, so yeah, last year, 2019.
Yeah.
Um, the fear of losing my son.
Mm-hmm.
So before it happened, I was just like, man,
Mm-hmm.
it's leukemia, yeah.
Yeah.
First, let me put the scene. My son was a patient at Texas Children's for 15 years. Okay, ever since he was an infant, he was born without working kidneys.
Mm.
So we moved from New York to Texas, um, and he was just part of the Texas Children's family. Okay, and so when the doctors and
Mm-hmm.
nurses that knew his nickname was J-Bo, knew J-Bo,
Mm.
were coming up to me crying and this fear that was showing in their faces.
Oh goodness.
Um, and usually they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do what we can." And I mean, there was this just sense of dread that overshadowed them. And I remember Jonathan and I had this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right after we had found out that he had leukemia, and he was like, "Mom, I'm scared." And
Mm-hmm.
he had never said that before,
Oh.
because he had been through a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
already. I mean, his first surgery was in womb. That was his first surgery. So he would have been through the battle for real, and so he had never said to me that he was afraid.
Mm.
And I remember we sat down and I talked to him about David and Goliath,
Mm.
and I was like, "Do you know why? There's so many doctors, that we know and love because like I said, we loved his kidney team.
Mhm.
Um, he could see their fear, and I
Mm.
was like, do you know why they're afraid? So many adults are afraid when you talk about cancer." And
Mhm.
he was like, "It's a bad disease. I know that people die from it." I was like, "Yeah." Um, I said that's Goliath for them.
Mm.
Cancer is Goliath. I said, "Baby, but do you know who you are?"
Mm.
And I said, "You're David. You're going to defeat Goliath."
Mm.
And when he died, I felt like I couldn't have been more wrong in that. And it took me some time I'm a Christian, so it took me some time to come back to understand that no, he really still defeated death because of Christ. So my
Mm.
baby is still around and he's waiting on me. Um, and even if you're not a Christian, you still believe in energy and energy doesn't die.
Mhm.
So, but that caused me to, I think that's why I'm moving on and launching the market now, even though like you have to start.
Mhm.
Because when I lost him, it was just like stuff just really happens badly in life.
Mm.
And it was either going to be where I would not move anymore and do anything because of the pain that could ensue from that,
Mm.
or I could continue moving forward.
Mm.
And I hadn't had problems moving forward before, but this last year was really rough. And if I was going to decide to just move forward or not, I mean, I'm telling you, some some weeks of just sitting in some sweats and eating,
I
chocolate covered blueberries and watching anything that would bring me out of what my suckish reality was.
mm,
Um, and as a Christian, we're taught to pray.
mm,
And there was 2 times where, I prayed for my infant son that I lost to, be born healthy, and we lost him, right? He passed away in womb. And
mm,
then we prayed and prayed for J-Bo to, make it through cancer, and he didn't. And so I lost a lot of just faith and prayer, and didn't want to hear about God, didn't want to hear about any of that.
mm,
And that can cause you to be fearful, right? You're just like, well, what's the use? What's the point?
mm,
And I was telling a friend of mine uh, something that was, to me, it was very moving. I was doing some house cleaning, and I came across this little bear. And if you push the little bear's tummy, it would say a prayer. It would say the, Lord's Prayer. Now lay me down,
mm.
not the Lord's Prayer, but the
The Lord's
nighttime
Prayer.
prayer that kids do. Yeah. Now lay me down to sleep and pray the Lord my soul to keep, da, da, da.
Mm,
Um, and it didn't, I pushed the tummy. It didn't work. I mean, the bear was pretty old. Do I have it over here? I know I have it. I usually, okay. Anyway, so I threw it in the trash. I was
mm,
like, and as I was throwing it in the trash, I was like, well, you look at that. That bear's prayers doesn't work just like mine.
mm,
And threw in the trash and went around and started cleaning and doing whatever, and came back into the room maybe
mhm.
5 minutes later, somewhere around there. It was some time. And as I walked into the room, the bear fired. The prayer out the trash can was coming. I was like, for me, it just it brought me down to my knees, because I was thinking, okay, well, this bear's prayers does work. It
Mm,
just didn't work the way I thought it should work at the time I thought it should happen. And I'm thinking, that's how we are. Where, my prayers weren't answered the way I thought it should
I
be
want-
answered.
yeah.
And so anyway, that's my whole rambling story about how moving on and not trying to live, not living fearfully.
Mm,
I think one of the biggest mistakes, and it is a reaction, when something that traumatic happens,
mhm,
people don't want to hear, I don't want to hear about, don't tell me about God. God didn't do this for me. Don't tell me about prayers,
mm,
because, it didn't go this way for me.
mm,
And you can't distance your, for me. And if whoever is out there listening in the interwebs, you know um don't, let me say this as inclusively as possible, do not distance yourself from your higher self. Don't
mm,
distance yourself from that.
mm,
You have to connect and stay connected, or you won't pull through. So
mm. So good. Stay
yeah.
connected or you won't pull through. Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I'm doing everything possible right now not to tear up and just cry. Thanks, Sharee. Oh,
You're
man.
welcome.
Well, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you if they want to get in touch with you? I'm pretty sure so many people have been impacted by your stories that you shared and just what you're doing with the BAM market. Where can they get in touch with you?
If you're interested in the BAM market, you can just go to thebammarket.com. That's THEBAMMARKET.com. Um, and you can look at that and connect with me there. There's, contact box and all that good stuff. And then you can also find me on LinkedIn and Facebook, all those good places, at Sharee Cammon. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, it's going to be at Sharee Cammon. If you're interested in the BAM Business Academy, you can just go to bambusinessacademy.com, and that's B.A.M. BAM stands for Black and Melanated. So bambusinessacademy.com, and you can contact me there as well.
Great. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Is there any last words that you wanted to share with our listeners here today?
Um, I think what comes to my mind right now is just seriously be mindful.
Mm-hmm.
Be mindful of sharing your space with people who do not have uh, they're not included in spaces that you are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see that someone, that there's a group of people that is not really being included,
Mm-hmm.
uh, then you should find ways to include them. Reach out to them. Um, and if that doesn't happen, if there's spaces that like what I'm making,
Mm-hmm.
don't knock it. Understand that these people need spaces to be able to um, be seen and be heard and be uplifted. And then most of all, I think a lot of it, I'm not a hippie or anything, but be loved.
Mm-hmm.
Be really loved and accepted. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Sharee. Appreciate your heart, appreciate your stories. I really just enjoyed talking to you and having you on the podcast. So thank you so much. And we
Thank you
will
for inviting me. I really enjoyed being here or talking to you.
being in this space, right? Well, you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.